We were talking recently about events in Scotland and some of the major gangland criminals. That was wrong.
No, I just wasn't sure it was recording. It was just sort of recording.
Have I not told you? It's always recording.
Well,
always
you have
operated.
caught me out on many occasions. It's always recording.
You were just staring like really sort of scared.
It's just
the screen.
Don't want your words of wisdom to be wasted.
Will I start again about what I was saying? Do you remember what I was actually...
No, I wasn't focused. I was looking to see if it was recording.
I was saying to you that we were talking recently about events in Scotland and about some of the really high-profile gangland criminals that had apparently gone to war in this very peculiar situation that, there was, fights on the streets, but there was also this sort of ongoing overarching feud between two families, and some of them had gone to Dubai. It was like as if it was like as if we had just a different cast of characters, but it was us in 2016 nearly, or our previous, prior to that. It looked like this sort of big war was breaking out.
So people will know that there's this, the most infamous gangland feud in Scotland has basically been between two families, the Daniels family and the Lyons family. And it's since the turn of the century, there's been numerous murders, killings and ongoing violence. So that has been, I suppose, their Hutch Kinahan feud, if you want. But like all of these things over time, new generations come up and other players or sub-feuds begin. And so both of these things seem to have been going on simultaneously. And obviously two men, including one of the Lyons clan, were recently shot dead in Spain.
And also, as an aside, just to say, for anybody who's not familiar with this, the Lyons and the Daniel clans have been at war for about 20 years, but the crew were aligned to the Kinahans. They had become associates of the Kinahans. That Kinahan name had kind of given a bit of strength and power to the Lyons crew. Over the years, we had known of certain key figures in the Kinahan organisation who had been out to Glasgow and Scotland to visit members of the Lyons crew. And like our own, some of them who were feeling a bit of a heat and maybe had the money, had retired out to Dubai to do their business out there.
Yes, of course. Stephen Lyons in particular, sometime in the mid-2000s or in sometime in the last decade had ended up in Spain. The feud had put a lot of lives at risk, and he had moved to Spain where he'd really hooked up with the Kinahans in or around the Port of Banús area. And that gave them a huge kind of strength. They effectively became the franchisee for Scotland for the Kinahan drugs. So that seemed to put the Lyons crew on top. But members of the Daniels clan, who were maybe an older, more established gang that had emerged during the heroin epidemic in Glasgow, they kind of realigned with some other figures, in particular Mark Richardson, who was a very serious criminal from the Edinburgh area, who has come in, I suppose, in an alliance with them. Then other figures have emerged in recent times, in particular a guy who was initially being called Mr. Big in the Scottish media, but in recent times has been named as Ross
McGill.
Ross McGill, known by the nickname Miami. Very interesting character, Ross McGill, in his early 30s, had been a Rangers ultra, which is, a
super fan?
A super fan, I suppose you might say super fan if you didn't know the history of football. It's like, well, it would be a super fan, but they're kind of, there probably is an undertone to some of these organisations.
Yeah.
In particular in countries like Italy and Spain, but Italy in particular, where they'd be almost seen as sort of the respectable end of hooligan crews. But he was a Rangers super fan, and he had also departed to Dubai in recent times, and certainly it is believed that he was directing a huge campaign of violence from Dubai, targeting members of associates of Mark Richardson and associates of the Daniels crew.
So we know that there has been arrests this week of 4 of Scotland's most high-profile gangland figures, including who you were just talking about, Ross McGill, Stephen Lyons, a Stephen Jamieson and a Stephen Larwood. They've been taken into custody in Dubai. Are they wanted? Is there warrants? What is the situation? Because it seems slightly unclear. Are they going to be sent back to Scotland to face something, or are they being arrested to be questioned in the United Arab Emirates for a particular reason? It's a weird one, isn't it? It was unexpected. And of course, it's ever more mounting evidence for many that Daniel Kinahan is immune. We are here in Ireland spending a long, long time trying to get him back or lifted or arrested or anything. And all of a sudden, bing, you got 4 of Scotland's most high-profile gangland figures. Their homes raided and they're in custody.
So it certainly looks like from some of the reports that these have been arrested following interventions from the Scottish police. So the Scottish police certainly have been dealing with the officials in Dubai and sending them information about attacks that are occurring in their country. While it doesn't, you're right, it's not clear exactly what charges they face or even if that's the way it works in Dubai, but it looks like that it's not something they've done necessarily just in that country.
Mm.
Now, the Kinahan link, of course, is very interesting. We just done a number of podcasts about the MV Matthew, and in particular the heavy Scottish connection with that drug shipment and with other shipments that have occurred in this country. We spoke to Stephen Dempster and Lara McIntyre from the BBC, who talked about how there was an organised crime gang in Scotland who are heavily involved in the MV Matthew at all levels, alongside the Kinahan cartel. And we've seen other drug shipments that are landing in Ireland, that Scottish connection. It's really, really strong. So whether that all forms part of it or not, it's not clear. But what we do know is that Stephen Lyons has been regarded as the most prominent figure in the most prominent gang in Scotland for over a decade. And it's even been said in Parliament that they're effectively a franchise of the Kinahan cartel. So it's another figure surrounding Daniel Kinahan, somebody who's said to have a really good personal relationship with him. Another figure that's been picked up in Dubai. But as you said, one of them.
Yeah, and I think really probably to do something a little bit better on this, a little bit deeper dive, we need to try and find out some more information, and we'll reach out to our colleagues in Scotland and see if they know exactly what's occurring or if they are going to be returned. Of course, Ireland has an extradition agreement with the United Arab Emirates signed last year, but has Scotland?
Well, I mean, there's been a lot of criminals returned from Dubai to the UK. I mean, far more than have been returned to Ireland. So there definitely is procedures that allow that to occur. A lot of those EncroChat, the people that were done as part of the EncroChat bust were extradited from Dubai to the UK. So I don't think that would be a problem. But however, the time between an arrest and an extradition in Dubai tends to be a year or two.
Exactly.
So you wouldn't expect anything imminent.
Well, let's wrap this up for the moment until we have further information and before we die of heat exhaustion.
Yeah.
You with me on that?
I am.
Oh my goodness.
What caused my faux pas at the start.
See you soon. I'm Nicola Tallant and you're watching Crime World, a podcast about criminals, drugs and the underworld in Ireland and across the globe. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you can be the first to watch all our latest episodes. You can also listen wherever you get your podcasts.